Hello, everyone. This is Live Life Well TV host Robert Landau, and this is another episode of How to Be Okay When Things Aren't. The topic for this episode, how to deal with loss during the holidays. Stay tuned. So I guess it comes as no surprise to learn that statistically, loss can be felt more during this time of year than during other times of year. Why is that? Well, turn on the TV, look at a holiday special. Everybody's just having a great time celebrating with one another, opening gifts, having wonderful food around the table. Things couldn't be better. But unfortunately, life is not like a TV movie. We do experience loss, and sometimes more than less. And that loss can be felt during this time of year. So what do you do about that? Say you're missing somebody who is no longer here. Maybe they passed. Maybe they're still alive, but they're no longer in your life. Maybe loss can also be felt because of COVID, the freedom that you used to experience in your everyday life, in that normal time of your life, is no longer a viable option this year. So that can be sort of a loss of freedom that one can experience too. So here's at least what I do during this time of year when I feel loss. I have come to understand that you can never hope to change anything that happens on the outside of you. All you can do is choose how to manage it on the inside of you. So if, for example, I'm missing my parents, more so this year because of what I used to do with them all the way back to my childhood during this time of year, and they're no longer here to even pick up the phone and sort of recreate that, at least on the phone. I feel the loss. I don't deny it. But here's the key. I don't let the feeling of loss rule me, control me. There has to be some point where I actively, proactively control it. So I don't let it overtake me. There is nothing wrong with feeling loss during this time of year or any time of year. You wouldn't be human if you didn't feel loss during this time of year, particularly if you lost somebody who was very dear to you. If you lost your freedom like you used to know it in previous years. Those are all very important, very viable aspects of loss that if you didn't feel sad or lonely or depressed over, there might be something wrong with you otherwise. Why do I say that? Because we all feel with our heart. And when things aren't the way they were, for example, we miss it. It's natural. But here's the thing. Don't stay there too long. Because if you kind of overstay it, then you end up becoming those feelings of loss. It's okay to feel them. The trick is not to become them. So how do you do that? Well, very positively, this is not a negative. You distract your brain. You try to stop the flow of the habitual, almost what could be termed as negative thinking. Because if you keep thinking about the same negative thing time and time again, in a habitual pattern, you run the danger of becoming the energy of the negative thought you keep thinking. It just imprints itself on you, and then it becomes harder to lift yourself up and out of that. So do something different. Distract your brain. when you're starting to feel overwhelmed by the feeling of loneliness, overwhelmed by the feeling of any type of loss, get up out of your chair, get out of your apartment and do something, even if it's just to go for a walk around the parking lot, even if it's just to play chess with another fellow resident, even if it's just to pick up the phone and call a friend or a family member. This way, you break the negative pattern. That's one way. Another way is to pray, is to meditate, is to use affirmations that when these negative feelings of loss, whatever they may be, feel as if they're going to overtake you, even though you're the one who's choosing to think about them, get above that somehow and say, you know what, it's okay that I'm feeling this way, but I'm going to rise above it and acknowledge that I feel this way, but then move forward, watching a positive TV show, if you can find one nowadays, reading a book, listening to some music, going into a public space in your place of residence and partaking of an activity. Even if it's an activity you're not that crazy about, it's something different. You need to change the atmosphere on the outside so that you can help change your atmosphere on the inside as well. Affirm. When you start to feel yourself going there, uh, make an affirmation that you say all the time when you start to feel down in the dumps during this time of year, which is, I am okay feeling the way I'm feeling, but there is more to my life and to me than just that. I will rise above this. And not only that, I am doing just that now. We tend to feel as if we are innocent victims to life circumstances. And in some ways we may be, but in others, we need to understand that we are also willing co-creators, which means that you have the power to start to feel better about loss, about feeling alone, by doing some very simple things that bring you joy. Some of them I've outlined here, but I'll ask you this in closing. What can you do to help yourself feel better when you do experience the feelings of loss and loneliness during this time of year? Do what you can to lift yourself out of that rut. Pull yourself out of that quicksand. Aren't you worth it? There are so many people who love you, who care about you, even those that you might not even suspect. There's so much of you that you can give to another person, even somebody down the hall that you've never met before, who might have just moved in, who is also feeling lonely and experience the loss of freedom or a spouse or whatever it might be. You are never alone unless you choose to feel that way on a constant basis. So there is much joy, much love, much happiness to be found during this time of year. But it ain't going to come to you if you just sit there constantly, continually feeling cut off from the world. Figure out ways to reconnect. You can do it. You've done it many times before. You're a brilliant survivor who is never alone and never at a loss. Here's wishing you all the best during this time of year and any time of year. We are all in this boat together. This has been Robert Landau, Live Life Well TV host, wishing you all the best during this time of year. Thank you for spending these minutes with me.